Father and son hoping to sell a dirt bike on Craigslist walked into a trap.
Yes.
That was 4 years ago. Prosecutors say James Beck was murdered right in front of his 15-year-old son right there. The accused killer is on trial, and Beck's son had to relive that day from the witness stand. Fox 13's Gloria Gomez has been listening to the testimony. I can't even imagine what a difficult day it must have been for that young man.
Yes, and keep in mind the jury heard a lot of powerful testimony today, Cynthia, but nothing as powerful and moving to the jury as when the victim's son took the stand. Stuart Beck was 15 years old when he made this frantic 911 call.
My dad just got shot. He's dead. My dad is definitely dead.
Stuart, now 20 years old, wiped away tears as he relived those terrifying moments.
Dad, I love you, man. Don't die. Don't die. Oh, my God.
Here's Stuart telling a judge about it nearly 2 years later.
My dad was getting to the driver's seat and he got shot.
Prosecutors say back in January of 2017, James Beck and his son were selling a dirt bike on Craigslist. Dante Johnson and co-defendant Ramontre Williams responded to the ad, and Beck drove from Holiday to Tampa to make the sale. But when Johnson handed him a wad of cash, it wasn't the money they agreed to, and James Beck returned the money. Stewart says that's when Johnson pulled out a gun, and father and son made a run for it.
He had turned the ignition over and the truck started, and then the firearm was shot.
And who had the firearm?
The taller individual.
And prosecutors say that taller individual is in the courtroom.
The shooter in this case was Dante Johnson, the defendant in this case.
But the defense tried to shift the blame to co-defendant Ramontre Williams. They told the jury he cut a 12-year prison deal with the state, and they got him to flip and will now testify against Johnson.
When he learned about just how much trouble he was really getting into, he decides to point the finger at someone else, Mr. Johnson.
But prosecutors reminded the jury what this was all about. A father's life senselessly cut short in front of his young son.
Dad, I love you, man. Don't die. Don't die. Don't die.
That was a hard 911 call to listen to. A lot of the jurors actually in tears listening to that today. Keep in mind that Ramontre Williams, the co-defendant in this case, is expected to testify tomorrow. Cynthia, back to you.
Yeah, hard listening to it right now as we were listening to that report, Gloria. Just awful. Thank you for your report.